you guys. What's going on? Here I am, all by myself. Yeah, wow, what a clusterfuck this weekend was. If you didn't see all the posts that I made over the weekend, our internet went out at like 3 or 3:30 on Friday afternoon. And so we couldn't do the sidetrack show, obviously. And it didn't come back on until last night at like 10 o'clock at night. What we found out happened was that I guess a construction crew in the area accidentally severed some fiber optic cables somewhere. And they did say multiple breaks and several neighborhoods around here. This entire neighborhood was out, and like a whole bunch of other ones were out too. And people on Nextdoor and on the community Facebook group were not happy. They were really fucking freaking out. Which, like I said, I get it. I'm just kind of glad it didn't happen during the week because, you know, as most of you know, I work remotely. And as it was, I had to knock off work a few hours early on Friday because I couldn't do anything because I didn't have internet. But, you know, the guy understood, so it was fine. But yeah, so had it happened midweek, I'd have been really hosed. I would have had to go find a Starbucks or a library somewhere or something like that so I could do my work. But thankfully, it came back on last night. As you will notice, I think I also mentioned this on YouTube and on the Facebook page and shit like that. Tom is just not here because he went up to the Panhandle. I'm just like, where the hell did you go exactly? He's like, it's in the Panhandle somewhere. I don't even remember what the city name is. I was like, okay. So he went up there. His uncle is turning 80 and they're having like a big party. Like all the family, like cousins and stuff like that are coming. So he went up there. His mom went up there. So he left this morning at like 10:30 or something like that, and he'll be back. He's supposed to be back Wednesday afternoon, so he should be back for the regular show. But I told him, it's like, I'll just do the movie review. I'll just do a quick movie review like on Monday night just to show everyone we're still alive. But that we finally got our internet back, which we're very happy about. But yeah. So the reason I picked this movie, it may seem kind of random, and I could have fucking sworn that I reviewed this movie already. Because I don't know. Okay. So what happened was, obviously we didn't have the internet all weekend. So we couldn't stream anything. So I was like, well, shit, I need something to watch. So I had to dig through all of my, Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff like that. I said, there's got to be something in here that we haven't reviewed yet. And I pulled this out. I had this, it's kind of a shitty copy that I have, like a DVD. It's like, there's no closed captioning. It's like 4:3 aspect ratio. It's English dubbed. It's pretty dire. Like the picture quality isn't all that great. But I was like, well, I'm pretty sure I haven't reviewed this one. I know I've done a couple of other Mario Bava movies. Like I did Black Sunday, I think, on like a couple of Halloweens ago. And I think we did Bay of Blood, aka Twitch of the Death Nerve. Maybe it's, I don't remember. And it's, I don't remember. But yeah, so I thought I had done this one, but no. So the one that we're talking about is Kill Baby Kill from 1966. Now, Han Eng says, creepy ghost kids are creepy. Yeah, and I will say that it's weird because Kill Baby Kill, which, by the way, dumbest title, well, I don't know if I'd say dumbest title ever, but this title has, like, nothing to do with the movie. The movie in Italy, when it was first released, was actually called Operation Fear, or the Italian equivalent of that, which is also a dumb title. They called it that because the woman in the movie that plays Monica, she was in like a bunch of spy movies, and I think one or two of them were called Operation something or other. So, she was kind of famous, I guess. So like when they did this, it was like, oh, we'll just call it Operation Fear or whatever, which, like I said, also makes no sense, but it makes more sense than Kill Baby Kill, that's for sure. It was released under that title in the US for whatever reason. I love that in Germany they released it under this weird name, like something Dr. Dracula or something. I don't know. It's like, again, it made no sense. This has like a million different titles, and it also was released under like, not City of the Living Dead, that's Lucio Fulci, but something like that. So it sounded like a zombie movie, and this is not a zombie movie. Kill Baby Kill, the title for that, it reminds me of Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. So every time I think of the title, I always think that, oh, it's like a Russ Meyer type movie, and it's not. It's like an old school gothic horror, like a ghost story. along the lines of, like a Hammer horror film, or, like Roger Corman's Edgar Allan Poe movies. It's more along those lines. So, like, again, dumb title. But yeah, so John Gora says Erica Blanc was super sexy. Loved her in The Devil's Nightmare. Also in The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. That's right, she was in that, wasn't she? Oh man, I love that movie. Like, I think I reviewed that one too, but I don't remember when that was. It was like a while back. Haneng says, to be fair, Black Sunday doesn't really have anything to do with the Mask of the Devil either. Yeah, I mean, you have a point there. But at least it has like a more evocative, like I said, Kill Baby Kill to me sounds like a totally different type of movie. But so, yeah, like I said, so the copy I have of this is not great. And sadly, it's like now that I have my internet back, I can see that it's actually streaming on Amazon Prime and Shudder and a bunch of other places. So I could have watched it on there had I had streaming, but I did not. So I had to watch it on like a shitty $2 DVD that I had from like a long time ago. And there was no closed captioning. So, I'm kind of deaf, so some of the dialogue I might have missed out on. But I think I got the gist. This was actually the second time I had seen it. And because when I was watching it again, I was kind of like, I must have reviewed this because I knew I'd watched it not too long ago, but I guess I never did. Like, I couldn't find it on the channel unless it's been removed somehow for some reason. But yeah, I don't think I ever have. So this movie, like I said, it's actually okay. Now, a lot of people kind of consider this one of Mario Bava's best films, if not his best film. Martin Scorsese was a big fan, and I believe he acknowledged that this was an influence on The Last Temptation of Christ, at least as far as the cinematography and things of that nature. Obviously a big influence on Dario Argento, as most of... Although, I kind of feel like Blood and Black Lace was a much bigger influence. This is not as... Blood and Black Lace is a lot more like visually striking, like with all the colored gels and all that kind of stuff. This has some of that, and like the cinematography is really gorgeous, but it's not quite as stylish, I guess. And that's a Giallo movie, so it's kind of more contemporary, whereas this one is like more like a Hammer film, you know what I mean? But with a little added flair to it. So it's actually set, and so like I said, I don't know if I consider this his best movie. It's great. I think but it's not my favorite movie of his. I think my favorite movie of his probably still Blood and Black Lace, followed by Black Sunday, followed by Bay of Blood, aka Twitch of the Death Nerve, and then maybe this one. You know what I mean? There's some that I haven't seen though. But those of the ones I've seen, this is like my fourth favorite of his out of the ones of his that I've seen. So it's set in the early 20th century. I think most of the things say like 1907, but it doesn't really matter. Early 20th century sometime. And you have this guy who is kind of like a city guy. He's a coroner. And he comes to this town. Thank you very much, Stu. Hi, Jen. How was your day? It's Stu. And did 2 movie reviews you might want to check out. Oh, yeah. Like, tell me about that. Okay. John Gore said, oh, you prefer this one to Lisa and the... I haven't seen Lisa and the Devil yet. That's what yeah, like, out of the Mario Bava movies I've seen, and I haven't seen that one. So that's why. Oh, CB says, what's up, no Tom tonight? He's in the Florida Panhandle. He's visiting his uncle. It's his uncle's 80th birthday. Like, he went up there, his mom went up there, like, their whole family went up there. And he'll be back on Wednesday, though. But yeah, he left this morning. So, yeah, so I'm going to be all by my lonesome. Well, except for the cats. You know what I mean? For a couple of days. But yeah, it'll be sad, but you know. He might show up in the chat, maybe. Although he'll probably forget about it, knowing him. You know what I mean? But yeah. Alright, so this guy okay, so the guy that plays, his name is Dr. Paul, is it S-Way or S-Y? I'm not really sure. I don't remember how they pronounced it. He's played by this Giacomo Rossi Stewart, who I'd seen in some other movies, although I can't remember what they were offhand. He's kind of your standard bland, you know, kind of hero or whatever. A little bit arrogant, but, you know, I guess he gets his come up. He's kind of like your standard, like, skeptic sort of character that's coming to this superstitious village and trying to sort all their shit out, and he's kind of a snot about it, you know? So he comes to this village to do an autopsy. this woman, like, actually the first scene of the movie is this woman whose name is Irena or something like that, and she's like running to this old villa or something, and she gets up on this, like, in a window or like on a ledge or something, and she kind of either throws herself or falls or is pushed or something like that, like, off, and then she gets sort of impaled on this spiky fence situation at the bottom. And so for whatever reason, they summon this Paul guy from the big city, and he's gonna come and do the autopsy. Now, because he needs a love interest, evidently, because it's the 60s and all these kind of movies, you had to have that. CB said, Jenny, you're a cat lady for a few. I'm a cat lady all the time, but you know, yeah, now I'm just like, so I got like all 3 cats I gotta like take care of for the next few days, which I mean I usually do anyway. But which reminds me, I forgot to scoop the downstairs litter box. But yeah, I gotta do that. Okay, I did the upstairs one, but I forgot. So because usually Tom does that one. All right. So anyways, so he comes there to do the thing, and because he needs a love interest, this woman Monica gets sent over there to like assist him with the autopsy or whatever. Now, she was born in this village, but was sent away or left when she was 2 or something like that. She doesn't really remember it. And she's not like, she has some kind of medical training. She's a medical student or something like that. But yeah, she just came back into town. So they're like, hey, why don't you go help him out with that autopsy or whatever. Now, the thing about the when they do the autopsy, it's actually a great setup, because the first scene is like this woman falling off a thing and getting impaled, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, well, let's see where this is going. And then when they do the autopsy and the snotty doctor guy shows up, thank you very much. Klaus sent a super chat. Thank you for the super chats. CB said, you're super sexy doing it solo. Thank you. I'm not used to doing it solo, and it's very weird not having Tom to like bounce off of. So I'm just kind of trying to... You know what I mean? It's just very, very weird. Because usually, you know, I do videos on my own all the time, but that's kind of different a little bit, you know? So it's a little strange. So forgive me if I feel like, if I'm like a little weird or whatever. I do have a drink, so I'm just going to have one, though. I'm not going to get too fucked up. I still got to cook and stuff like that after this, because I haven't eaten anything since Paul left, or since Paul, it's like I was looking at the guy's name on the notes, since Tom left this morning. All right, so when they do the autopsy, they find this little silver coin thing, like embedded in the woman's heart. So, you know, again, a great setup. It's like, what the fuck is that doing in there? Like, that's really strange, right? Now, as time goes on, and they're trying to figure out what the deal was with this woman dying, it starts to come to light that all the villagers are very superstitious. And John Gore says, Tom, Paul, we're all the same to you. I know. I was just like, Paul is the name of the character in the movie, and I was looking right at it like when I said that, so that's why I said that name. But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, you're all the same. You're all the same. Tom, Dick, Harry, whatever. So, so yeah. So they're all superstitious. And as it goes on, Dr. Paul discovers that everyone in this town, evidently, believes that there's this little girl ghost, and she pops up periodically, and if you see her, that means you're going to die. Now, I will note that the ghost does not kill anyone directly. What she seems to do is kind of show up, look at you super creepy, and it is like pretty creepy. Like the ghost girl is pretty creepy, like the imagery around it and stuff. She like makes you off yourself, like in weird ass ways. Hence why that woman, I guess, like jumped off the thing and got impaled. Now, of course, Dr. Paul, being a man of science, does not believe all of this happy horse shit. And he's, like I said, he's kind of a dick about it. You know, I see where he's coming from. I'm a skeptic myself, but, you know, he shows up in this town and immediately is like, yeah, that's ridiculous. You guys are idiots, blah, blah, blah. Like, not in those words, but that's kind of what he sounds like to that. So there's also, he's staying at this inn, and they have a daughter. And at some point, she sees the ghost. It's a great scene, too. It's like she's kind of in her room, and like she looks over there, and there's a door with like glass panels. And like first, you just see this child's hand, like kind of pushing on the door panel, and then you see the face. And fun fact, I didn't realize this like the first couple times I watched this movie, but the ghost girl, whose name is Melissa, you find out, was played by a boy, which you wouldn't. I didn't really notice that like when I was watching it, but evidently the story goes that Mario Bava and the casting director and all of that, they auditioned like a bunch of little girls like for this ghost girl role, and they couldn't find like exactly what they wanted, like for the look and the creepiness or whatever the hell. So they ended up getting a male actor, like a little boy, putting him in a dress and stuff like that, which the little boy was not happy about. But I will say in his defense, he does a great fucking job in this. He's super creepy. And like I said, I did not realize that was a little boy until like I looked at the notes later. But yeah, so she sees this little girl like through the window, and she is flipping the fuck out because like I said, everybody in town knows you see her, you're going to die. Like, you know what I mean? She's like a portent of doom or something. And so she tells her parents, who again, very superstitious, and they start flipping out and doing like all this with like hanging garlic and shit, like there's vampires, and they actually end up putting this, it looks like barbed wire, but I guess it's like some kind of like a thorny plant or something, and like they put it around her rib cage, and that's like supposed to protect her, I guess. And you know, obviously, but it's poking her in the skin and shit. And she's not doing too good. And the doctor comes over to see her, and he sees that, and he's just like, what the fuck is this bullshit? You know what I mean? And he, like, takes it off, even though the parents are like, you can't take that off. You know what I mean? That's protecting her. And he's like, what? You know, you guys are stupid. That's not doing anything. But obviously, once he takes it off, then, you know, she sees the ghost girl again, and she just, like a zombie, like, kind of walks over to this. She had this thing in her room. I guess it was like a candlestick, like a candelabra type thing. And it had this huge fucking spike on it, like that. Like the candle goes up, it was like cross-shaped kind of. And the candle goes up like that. And then there's like the loop thing where you would hold it, I suppose. And there's a huge, and I'm like, what the fuck is the point of that? Like, that just looks like an accident waiting to happen. You know what I mean? Like, you'd be stumbling out of bed one night to pee or something like that. Just, you know what I mean? Just like fucking fall into it. Pierce yourself in the head or whatever. And so she walks over to that and basically just like walks into it. So there's that. You know, because he took the protection thing off. Now he also meets this other woman in the village whose name is Ruth, who's kind of like a witch, sorta. And you find out later that she's actually the one putting the silver coins in the people's hearts. Like, not while they're alive. Like, she does it after they're dead, I think. But it's just, here's the thing. I don't understand this. I don't know if this is a plot hole or if I just missed something. Like, because I know some of you guys have seen this, so maybe one of y'all can explain it to me. So you find out later that Ruth was the one that put the silver coins in the hearts, because that wasn't the only one they found. Like, they find dead bodies, like, as it goes on, and they have silver coins, too. And she's saying she puts them there, like, to protect them. I'm like, protect them from what? One, they're already dead, right? So they're already dead, so you're not protecting them from shit. And is it to keep them from getting up and walking around? Because I think, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think I read that the initial script of this did have an aspect of the people that got killed by the ghost getting up and walking around as zombies. That is not in the final movie, but I think that was one of the original ideas. So maybe that's the only thing that makes sense to me, is that she was putting the silver coins in their hearts, like, to keep them from getting up and walking around, like, after they were dead. Because I was like, well, just sticking it in there after they're dead, I don't really see what good that's gonna do. Like, they're already dead, you know what I mean? Because at least with Nadine, like the innkeeper's kid, at least they put the spiky thing on her while she was still alive, like after she'd seen the ghost in the first place, and it was ostensibly protecting her from the ghost killing her. I don't really know what doing the coin thing after they're dead means. John Gore says, I think it's to protect their souls, if you believe in that sort of thing. Yeah, they could be that too. Like, maybe they'll go to heaven or whatever. I'm not really sure. So yeah. So you find out, like, he kind of does all this investigation. Now, Dr. Paul, he actually goes to see this woman, the Baroness Grops, who lives in this villa. And she's, you know, kind of creepy and everything like that. And he's kind of going to see this dude named Kruger, who is the Burgomeister. What does that mean exactly? I probably should have looked that up. He's the Burgomeister of this town. He's the master of the burgers. I don't really know. So he looks just, oh my God, the whole time I was watching, he was one of the producers on the movie too. The guy that played him. But I was like, the whole time I was like, man, look at that Telly Savalas looking motherfucker. He looks just like Telly Savalas. Holy crap. Or not Telly Savalas, or who was the guy that was in The King and I? Shit, it was in Westworld. What was his name? One of you guys know. You know who I'm talking about. He looks like that. Like the two of them had a baby. That's who he looks like. He's actually a cool character. So he goes there looking, he goes to this villa looking for him, but she says, oh, don't know, never heard of him. But it's like while Dr. Paul is walking around, he sees this white bouncy ball come out, and then he sees this girl in a white dress. Now this is the ghost, but he doesn't realize that. I will note too that the whole bouncy ball thing, I wondered if, because I know there's been Ghost Girl with bouncy ball, like in some other movies. The first thing I thought of was The Changeling, because that from 1980 with George C. Scott, because that was kind of like, that was a big aspect of that, with that red ball with the white stripe on it, like bouncing down the steps and all that kind of shit. So I kind of wonder if they got the idea from this, or if it was just a coincidence, like Convergent Evolution or something like that. Because I know that this movie was actually really influential. You know what I mean? Yul Brynner, thank you very much. I could not remember that dude's name, like, to fucking save my life. But that's who he reminded me of. So he actually looks more like Yul Brynner than Telly Savalas. But you know what I mean? Bald guy with the strong features, that kind of dude. So, yeah, so the Baroness is there. Now you figure out there's kind of some creepy shit. So Monica, who is the one kind of helping Dr. Paul. And like I said, she's from this town, but she hasn't lived here for, like, 20-something years or something like that. So she kind of knows about shit, but not really. So she has a nightmare about this kid. And when she wakes up, there's this creepy fucking doll, like, sitting at the end of her bed, which, oh my God, I would shitbrick if that happened. And then she runs out in the street. She finds Dr. Paul, and he's like, okay, well, you know, don't worry your womany little head about it. Like, I'll put you in an inn, and you don't have to stay there. So there's that. Then he finds that while he was, because Kruger has been kind of in the movie a little bit, doing this, that, and the other thing. And it turns out that him and Ruth are a thing. And he ends up dead. And then Dr. Paul, like, finds him in the cemetery, but it looks like he's been, like, shot in the head. And you're assuming, like, he did that to himself because maybe he saw the ghost and, like, it made him do it. And the gravediggers are, like, gonna bury him, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like, they're trying to, like, keep it under wraps or something. Before he dies, though, he tells, wait a minute, Carl didn't die like that, did he? Shit, now I can't remember. I just watched this shit last night. Okay, Kruger and Carl are two different dudes, right? Now I'm confused. But because Carl, I thought, the Yul Brynner looking dude, I thought he was still alive because he told Monica that it's like, oh, I have a bunch of papers about your birthright, like the people that you thought your parents were not really your parents. And then he goes up to get them, and apparently the ghost kills him. He, like, cuts his own throat, like, with a sickle type thing, and the notes or papers he was supposed to give her, like, all burn up, so she couldn't see what they were. So yeah, so there was that. But like I said, the people are just fucking dying all over the place. And then, so as it goes on, you eventually find out that this wasn't Freddy Krueger. No, it's not Freddy Krueger. His name was just Krueger something, but, like, not with the E. There was no E in it. But yeah. Okay, Burgomeister is like a mayor. That's what I figured, but I wasn't really sure. The Burgermeister was Ralph Fiennes' character in the menu. I still want to see that movie. Like, is that worth watching? Like, I've heard it was really good. I kept meaning to watch it, and I just never got around to it. John Kruger, yeah. So yeah. So you find out that what was in the papers and all this other kind of shit was that Monica was actually the daughter of the Baroness. Now, Melissa, the ghost girl, was also the daughter of the Baroness. But she had died before. Like, she was older than Monica. So she had died, and then when she was 2, the Baroness, like, sent her away, like, with this, like, the servants or something. It's like, hey, adopt her and get her out of here to get her away from the curse. Because as it happens, the Baroness is essentially using the ghost of her daughter to get revenge on the townspeople she doesn't like. And why she's doing that is because several years ago, I think it was 20 years, because I think she said she died in 1887, and I think the movie is set in 1907. So, that's right? Yeah. So she's like, so there was some kind of celebration in the town, and everyone was drunk, and they ran over, like, they trampled Melissa, who was like 7 years old, with the horses, and then they didn't really help her. They were just kind of like, man, fuck that kid, or what, you know what I mean? That, like, they didn't do anything to help her because they were too fucked up, or they didn't care, or whatever. And so the little girl, like, while she was dying, she was ringing the town bell, trying to get people to help her, and nobody would, and then she ended up dying. So evidently the Baroness is still a little salty about that, as you probably would be. And so she has been essentially, I'm guessing, I don't know if she can use black magic or some shit like that, but she is like bringing the ghost girl back to fuck up people she doesn't like. And she's taking revenge on everybody, just killing them like one by one, I guess. Because she kind of lives in this old villa, like all by herself, like a recluse and everything. Now, I was watching a review of this by like another horror channel, and the guy made a good point. He's like, Ruth the witch, that's also having a thing with Carl. Now, she has ostensibly known about this curse and the ghost and everything like that this whole time, because she's protecting everybody, like, at least, like, after they die, you know what I mean? And he points out, he's like, well, why didn't she do anything earlier? Because she does actually, like, step up and, ovary up and kill the Baroness at the end, and, break the curse and everything like that. They're like, but she literally could have done that at any time. He's like, I guess the only reason she cared now is because the witch, or the mom, the Baroness, had the ghost kill Carl, who was her boyfriend. And she's like, oh, okay, well, now I'm mad. I could have done something before, and, like, all these people died. But it's like, now it's personal. I guess that's what it was. But yeah, she could have literally done anything at any time. But so, yeah. So basically that's what happens. Like, Ruth ends up kind of defeating her and the ghost and everything. So, like I said, this is actually, it's a great gothic horror film. If you like Hammer, if you like, the Roger Corman Poe movies, it's along those lines, but with a little bit more, like, Italian flair to it. Like I said, it's not as visually striking as Blood and Black Lace, but it has some of that, like, roll cut. And the shot compositions are really, really nice. Like, even on my shitty copy, like, you could tell that they look really good. But yeah, and the crazy thing is this movie, from everything I could determine, was shot for under $50,000 because, Mario Bava had done some films before this, like with big international stars and stuff, and this was kind of one he had done before. He'd done Black Sabbath with Boris Karloff, and then he did The Whip in the Body, which did not have Christopher Lee in it. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But yeah, so he did that, and he had, like, a lot bigger budget and a lot more studio backing. And this was kind of one that was, like, a smaller production company, and I think it was under $50,000. And the shitty thing was that they shot the movie, they worked on it for, like, 2 weeks, and then they ran out of funding, and everybody finished the movie without getting paid. I don't think Mario Bava himself ever got paid for this movie. They just made it because they wanted to make it, which is kind of crazy to me. And it actually ended up being one of his more successful films. Like, even in Italy, it didn't make a huge amount of money, but it made more than his other ones. and it made pretty decent money, like when it played in the UK and the US and stuff like that. And like I said, a lot of people do consider this one of his best movies, if not his best movie. Like I said, Martin Scorsese is a big fan of it. Federico Fellini, like, actually, I want to say ripped off the whole ghost girl with the ball thing in Toby Dammit, but everybody kind of says that. And you know, he was just like, I liked it, so, you know. And like I said, the little ghost girl, that imagery with the ball and everything has been, was really influential. But yeah, so it's a little slow, but it's not long. It's only like 85 minutes or something, so it's like not even an hour and a half. But I think that's kind of the case from a lot of movies for this era, especially gothic horror. It's, you know, but it's kind of cool because it's like a mystery. Like I said, it has a really great opening scene with that girl, that woman, like running in and falling on getting impaled, and then they find the silver coin in the heart, and you're just like, what the fuck's going on with that? And, you know, and then you start seeing the imagery of the ghost girl and everything. And I would be remiss if I did not point out, and I think somebody mentioned this, like, one of the first things, because this is easily the best scene in the movie. There's a great scene where they're in, I think, the Villa Grops, where the Baroness lives, and Monica gets snatched away or, like, runs off, or they get separated, like her and Dr. Paul. And he can hear her, like, calling for him. And so he runs through this room, and then he runs through this other room, and then he runs through this room, and then it's the same room again. And he does that, like, a whole bunch of times. Like, it's this loop where he keeps running through the same room. And as it goes, like, he starts catching up to himself. So it's like, so there'll be the scene where he's running through this room, and then he's there. And then at some point, like the 5th or 6th time through, like, he goes like that and he turns around and it's him. And I was just like, man, that was so great. It was just like this really surreal, I think that's kind of everybody's favorite scene in the movie, because up to now there has been some surreal imagery, but it's kind of your standard gothic, you know, fog shrouded castles and villas and whatever. And then it just has this moment of this weird David Lynchian kind of moment. And I was really kind of into that. Like, I remember I had forgotten that, like, the first time I watched it. And then, like, when I was watching it again last night, I was just delighted by that scene. I was like, oh my God, that was so wonderful. Like, just the way he was going through I was like, it's the same room. It's the same room. And he's just going through the same room over and over. And then he catches up to himself and he turns around and he's like, yeah. And he gives himself a kind of a smug kind of look. I was like, that's pretty rad. But yeah, that's like the best scene in the movie. There's a lot of great scenes in this movie. It's not, super gory. There is some gore, you know, because especially like Carl when he cuts his own throat with the sickle, all that kind of stuff. It's not like, you know, it's not like later Italian horror with like eye gougings and shit like that. And I don't think there's any nudity, not that I remember, if you're into that. But you know, it's fairly gory for 1966, and it has like some great cinematography in it. I wish I could see it, and I know this is the case of like a lot of Italian movies, Italian horror specifically. It's really hard to get an Italian language version of it. And this is English dubbed. As I don't know if Amazon Prime and Shudder have it, and I assume that is also English dubbed. I couldn't, the DVD that I had, like I said, that was the only version that was on the disc, and there weren't even any closed captions or anything. So, because it was pretty, like, no bells and whistles. But I don't know. I've heard that the one that's on Shudder and stuff is also English dubbed. But that's very common with Italian films. Because a lot of Italian movies, they had actors from all different countries, and you would just say the lines in whatever language you spoke, and then they would just dub it. They would do an Italian dub, an English dub, a German dub, whatever the fuck, you know, or a French dub. They would just do a bunch of different dubs and just release it like that. So it's really hard, like, to get it in the original language. I would have liked to have seen it in Italian, though. The English dubbing is not bad. It's actually pretty decent, but, you know, it's kind of hard to tell what the acting is like when you're not hearing everyone's real voices. So there's that. Hanang says, Shout Factory is reissuing a special edition of its Mario Bava collection. See, I would really like that, because I have a few of his movies just that I've bought over the years, but I would really like a good, like, high quality, because a bunch of them I haven't seen. Like, Hatchet for the Honeymoon. I don't think I've ever seen that. So there's like a couple of other ones. The Girl Who Knew Too Much, which is like kind of considered like the first Giallo film. I don't think I've seen that one either. So I really would like to. I'm trying to slowly work my way through his filmography, but you know, it's taken a while. It's taken a while. CB said it's funny watching Christopher Lee playing a good guy considering he was a bad guy in almost everything he did. Yeah, it is kind of interesting, isn't it? I never really thought about it but yeah, when you think he almost always plays a bad guy. Not always. Remember we did that movie, we reviewed that movie not too long ago, Nothing But the Night. He was a good guy in that. You know what I mean? So, he's not a bad guy all the time. But you kind of look like that, you're going to end up playing a bad guy a lot of times. Hanang also says, yes, Christopher Lee was in The Whip in the Body, along with Dahlia Lavi. Yeah, I thought it's been probably 25 years since I've seen The Whip in the Body. That's another one that I probably need to fucking review. I know I say that every time and I just freaking forget. It's just, there's so many movies I have to do. You know what I mean? CB says, everyone in the UK, you'll get Hammer Films on the Legend channel. Yeah, I'm trying to go back and see some of these comments that I probably missed while I was talking. Oh, and he says you should indeed watch The Menu. Okay, I definitely will. Like, I probably can't watch it tonight because I have, I'm going to watch some documentaries about the show topic that we're doing on Wednesday so I can get prepared for it. And it's like, Tom's not here, so I can watch as much true crime as I want without him being like, can you turn this off? This is so depressing. You know what I mean? So I can just sit there and watch true crime all night if I want to. Sometimes I do that anyway. He doesn't really care. He's like, but sometimes he'll be like, man, this is a bummer. I'm like, yeah, it is a bummer. All right. So, yeah. So like I said, unless something, barring anything untoward, Tom is supposed to be back Wednesday afternoon. So he will be back. Excuse me, by the way. So he will be back for the big Wednesday night show. And the Wednesday night show is, again, doing true crime. Once again, we're finally talking about the Happy Face Killer, otherwise known as Keith Hunter Jesperson, who they made actually like a dramatic series about. That's just called Happy Face. Dennis Quaid is in it playing the serial killer. I think it's on Paramount Plus though, which I don't have. So I probably can't watch it. I probably don't have time to watch it before the show, but tell me if it's any good, because I saw commercials for it and I was like, oh, I'd be kind of curious to see that. I've seen some documentaries like with his, with Jesperson's daughter and stuff like that. So I'm gonna watch some more of that tonight, and that's what the show will be about. Wednesday night, doing another serial killer, yet another one that we haven't done. It's almost like we never run out of serial killers. So yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about on the Wednesday night show when Tom will be back. Thank you for dropping by to see me talking about a movie all by my lonesome, which, like I said, was a little weird, but it seemed like I got through it okay without too much trouble. Tanya said, oh my god, I love Twin Peaks. Yeah, me too. I'm a huge David Lynch fan. I keep meaning to do... I bought the new season, the newest season of Twin Peaks. The one they did like a few years ago, and I still have not fucking watched it. I just haven't watched it yet. Like I was actually going to do Firewalk with me for this, but I'll do that again maybe next time. But yeah, so but yeah, I still haven't watched it. Like I said, I have all this stuff that I need to watch, and I just never get around to it. I just don't have a lot of time. But yeah, so thank you everybody for dropping by. Thank you for your super chats. And I will see you guys again on Wednesday night when Tom returns. So have a good rest of your evening. Have a good day tomorrow. And I'll see you again in a couple days. Good night.